So you can see now, if you go into the method speech message, so that's nothing more than just taking the message, the text that we're giving it, so hello, something or other is what's going to happen. So back in the main, we begin to create a message that basically says hello, greeting, so that's taking the system argument, options, so these are all just the options that are coming from the system argument, and it sets the language, and that'll do nothing more than create a kind of set of greeting protocols that's going to be sent to this specific module, or greeting I should say, text really, that becomes vocalized or displayed in some way. Anyways, let's go back to speech. So speech basically takes this argument, this message, and it's referencing a voice manager. Now you can see if I sort of hover my mouse over voice manager, you see it's a Java class. So this is the Java that's being referenced. And just like before, you have to know the methods in the Java library to actually make this work and see what it requires. You have to basically just pass it the input that it asks. So in this Java method, all it does is ask for the name of the voice you'll be using, and then it'll allocate, and then it follows a set of procedures to actually launch the voice. So here, the previous part said hello, name, the message, and then it'll say something like my name is Hal after that. Okay, so it'll allocate the voice, then actually vocalize what the message, the total message, plus what you add to it here, and then basically close things down. And that's all following those Java procedures that you would normally apply if you're using this in Java. But the difference here, of course, being that we're using it in Python, using the Jython integration. So let's go back and see all this, how it works together. So if I've already created voice as the input, all I have to do now is basically run and see what it does. And if I raise the volume, hopefully you should hear it.
Hello, Mark. My name is Hal.
Yeah. So notice down here, the Java application was actually executed. It created, launched the Java library. That's all that's really happening. It's referencing, just like before, the actual Java libraries, the jars as they're called, that are basically encapsulated code. So all we're really doing is activating or using those code within the Java libraries, the jars, and sending in the data they require and following the procedures that's also required. So we have to learn something about those jars. We don't need to know the details. We don't need to know how to code Java. We just simply need to know how to activate different libraries at given times. And that's true pretty much for any integration you do with any language. You have to learn just enough to give it the information it requires, use the methods that's needed, and then of course get the output that you desire. And that's basically what we did here. And then we used this kind of Python way of registering these classes in this case. That's not all necessary to know. You don't have to do it this way, of course. This is just a fancy way to dynamically sort of load these classes and apply them as required. But in our case, the key thing to keep in mind is that you need the Jython integration. You've given it the inputs that's required for the given library, in this case a system set of arguments, and then you've given the actual library commands that are coming from Java, in this case the voice manager, the required inputs, the name of the voice, and then the message itself, and then you get the output, and then you sort of close down the process as required. So that's basically how, again, you deal with a Java Python integration.